Okay, so in this chapter, we're going to be building a pure CSS image slider. Alright, so we'll have a bunch of thumbnails, and we can click on a thumbnail, and we'll have a big image slide into place. And this isn't going to use any JavaScript or anything like that. It's going to be pure CSS. And the way we're going to do this is by using CSS keyframes. Alright, so keyframes are fairly new to CSS3 and not supported in all browsers. I don't believe that Internet Explorer supports keyframes, but don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. So we definitely want to use our vendor specific prefixes. Okay, we want to use the WebKit and the Moz prefixes. But basically, keyframes allow you to create animation on a page by basically gradually changing from one set of CSS styles to another. All right, so that could be the color, the position, which is what we're going to be doing, things like that, the size. Okay, and you can specify different points from 0% to 100%, basically what you want to happen when. And if you've had any experience with CSS transitions, transitions are basically from one point to another, and that's it. Keyframes, you can do things in between the start and the end. Alright, so we're going to do something really simple here before we move on, before we go to our project. I just want to create an element. Basically, we'll just create a square and have it animate using keyframes. Okay, so I created this file, keyframes.html. So let's go ahead and just add some basic structure. Okay, we want our doc type HTML5. Okay, we got our head. And I'm just going to use, we're going to put our style right in the head. Alright, and then for the body, all we're going to do is create a div, and I'm going to give it a class of object. Okay, and then in the style, we'll say object. Okay, we'll give it a width of 150 pixels and a height of 150 pixels, and we want to position relative, and let's just give it a background of black. Alright, so there is our object. Now what we want to do is, inside of this class, we're going to use animation. Alright, and we're going to basically add three things here, three parameters. One is going to be the name of the animation, so let's just call it object move. The next is going to be the duration. I'm going to say 5 seconds. And then the amount of time that we want it to run, which I'm going to say infinite. Okay, so we just want it to keep running. Now, this by itself won't work in many browsers, so we're using Chrome, so we want to make sure that we use the WebKit prefix. Alright, so WebKit dash animation. Alright, we're just going to put this same thing. Alright, so that's all we need to do inside of this class. Okay, so now we need to set up our keyframes. Alright, so to create a keyframe, we want to use the @ symbol, and we're going to use WebKit keyframes, and then we want the name of the animation, which is going to be object move. Alright, and then we're going to open some curly brackets, and we're going to define certain points of our animation. All right, and the animation is going to run for 5 seconds, so it's going to be a percentage of that. So the first one is going to be 0%, basically where we want to start. All right, so we want it to start at the top, basically 0 pixels from the top. Okay, the next one we'll define will be 25%, and again from the top we'll go down 300 pixels. Actually, we should have semicolons here. Okay, next we'll do 75%. And by the way, you can use any percentages that you want. And let's see, we'll say top, and we'll go back to 100 pixels. And then 100%, we'll go to, let's say, 50 pixels. All right. Let's make this a little neater. All right. Now I'm also going to use the standard syntax without the WebKit. So basically I'm just going to get rid of this. All right, so that should do it. Save it, reload. All right, so you can see the points. It starts at 0 pixels, goes all the way down to 300 pixels from the top, goes back up to 100 pixels, and then goes to 50 pixels, and then it's over. Let's actually change this to 0 so it stops where it started. Okay, so then it stops and it just keeps going. Alright, so what I want to do now is I want it to go over to the right. I want it to make a square, so right, down, left, and back up. Alright, so what we need to do here is we're going to need to use 2 coordinates. Okay, at 0% we want to be top, left. Okay, we want 0 for both of them. And we're going to add one more point in here. We want 50%. Oops. Okay, so 50. Okay, so it's going to start here, which is 0, 0. Then it's going to move from the left 300 pixels. All right, so top, we're going to keep it at 0 for that, for at 25%. And then from the left, we want to go 300 pixels. And this can be a little confusing because you use left 300 pixels, but you're actually going right. All right, it's 300 because it's from the left, which can be a little confusing. And then at 50%, we want to be here, which is going to be top 300, left 300. Okay, so 50%, top 300, left 300. 75%, we want it to be here, which is going to be top 300, left 0. So 75, we want top 300, left 0. And then 100%, we should be at top 0, left 0. Okay, and I'm just going to copy this and put it down here as well. Okay, let's try that. All right. Now you can also you can add other styles as well in your transitions or your keyframes. So let's say we want to change the color. Okay, so we'll start with black. Alright, and then let's say we want to, let's go ahead and change to red. And then we'll change to blue. Green, and then back to black. Alright, so let's give that a shot. Okay, change. So you can add any CSS properties you want, you can add to your animation. Alright, and you can change the speed and things like that. Let's change this to 1 second. Okay, so you can change it. We could do 20 seconds. Okay, it goes extra slow. So this is what is going to make it possible for us to build our image slider for this chapter's project. Basically, we'll be doing kind of the same thing. We'll be changing positions, and we'll also be looking at and changing z-index, which has to do with what elements will stack on top of other ones, because when we change the image, we want it to slide over the previous image. Okay, so we'll get into that next.